There's a soft spot in my heart when I see the bricks because the reminder of those years that we spent over there. And then this is mom and dad and sister and me and my husband, my dad's car. So even as I'm looking at the pictures, like it just brings back so many memories.
This is kind of where it all started in terms of my art career. I can remember being, or maybe I don't remember, maybe my mother just told me, that I was in a high chair and she'd give me paper and pencil. I would draw. Somewhere I have a drawing that I did when I was probably, I might have been 3, of a train. I mean, I was really precocious, but that's kind of what I did. I mean, it would keep me occupied, for hours.
One of the things I remember going through living in the projects is the toy library. So we can check out a board game or something, have it for a week and return it. And as long as it was in good shape and we didn't break anything, after a year they let us choose a toy, a brand new toy. Plus the library. The bookmobile used to come over to the projects during the summertime. It would go to the school when school was in, and we would go and load up on books and read the books for a week, and then a week later go back, return them, and check out more. So that's how I got my love of libraries.
I learned how to, I could say, just make money. There is a lot of things that I did. I was eager to learn. So in CV Circle, my first little jobs was, like I say, I would go to the maintenance administration building, and I would get one of the lawnmowers, and I would go around to the neighbors, and I would actually ask them if they wanted me to mow their lawn, and they would pay me a small amount just to mow their lawn. So I would do things like that. I also had a bee route.
It was just very normal for me. I didn't even realize I lived in the housing projects until I was 12 years old, and someone told me, "You live in the housing projects," and I'm like, "What's the housing projects?" And I was like, "This is just home. This is just my community." So it was just normal kids riding your bikes and running around. I mean, I used to skate around here, and there was only 3 pairs of skates, so we each had to share one. I remember I'd just be pushing myself along, and I learned how to ride a bike here. I mean, had my first kiss here, just the nuances of growing up, right?
So what I really remember about the neighborhood is it was very multicultural. Is that as you went past any house, you would smell something very different. We lived next door to the G's, and they were Chinese, and so the smells that were emanating, the different kinds of spices, the Fritas were Portuguese, and the blend of spices that they would have. And so I remember the smells more than almost anything.
The benefit of living in New Helvetia was that our childhoods were perhaps the best in the world. I did a map once of the best neighborhood that a young white boy could do, and ours was it. We had every race, creed, color, everything, and it was wonderful.
We moved in '55, which of course is a couple of years after the desegregation order. But even though the desegregation order came in, you can't move people in unless people moved out. So when we moved in, it was predominantly Caucasian and Asian, a smattering of Hispanic. When we first moved in, there were no blacks at all. As a matter of fact, I remember, I think I was in 4th grade, I think, before I had a black student in my class. What really started the integration wasn't so much New Helvetia, but when they built River Oaks, which everybody calls CV Circle, but when it first opened up, it was called River Oaks.
It was very segregated. Yep. Whoever was assigning houses or apartments put all the college students in these two long buildings. The majority of people there were African American. But these two buildings in front of the office were entirely white. White college students, veterans, and their family.
This is when I'm 12 years old. Just got here to CV Circle a year ago. It's the summer now. They decided to start a softball league with all the low-income housing projects throughout Sacramento. So we had about 6 teams, and this is the first team that represented CV Circle. Now there's only a few of us because the practices were tough. Here's my mother and my father in the back over here. But my father had us running around this field, and he just wanted to weed out some of the kids who really didn't want to play and the kids who really wanted to play. And not because they were good athletes, because they just, they had pride for their neighborhood. So we started out with about 8 kids. 5 years later, we had about 20 teams. Those 9 Panthers became the role models for the next generation. And so that pretty much changed how CV Circle was gonna be. It wasn't gonna have the gunfights anymore. We weren't gonna have the gang banging. We were gonna have people who were looking towards the future.
Because we were an immigrant family, there was a lot of immigrant families, and we had the similar struggles. We had the similar themes, everybody's trying to settle in and kind of getting on with life. It was easier to merge with that community because everybody was the same. I've got a lot of love and compassion for that place because what it did for us, and it done for so many people, very deep respect on that. Because you're starting out and your root system is all there. And even when I got my job, I worked for SMUD, and I just retired from SMUD. We would go into New Helvetia at CV Circle, and my memories will just unleash.